What's up, guys? I'm going to talk a bit about the Budokai HD collection that came out for Dragon Ball Z a while ago. So I only found out about it a couple of days ago, and then I decided, right, the Dragon Ball Z games on the PS2 were basically what taught me to read when I was a kid, so I have to talk about it. So I decided to pick them up. So now I've got it right in my hand here, the Dragon Ball Z HD collection. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is, despite it being a HD collection, there's only Budokai 1 and Budokai 3. They completely skipped out the board game of a mess that was Budokai 2. And to be fair, I don't see why they even bothered doing Budokai 1, it's just more effort. Because, despite it being my first game, my first Dragon Ball Z game anyway, it's a fun game, yeah, but it's just not Budokai 3. I mean, sure, if you want to relive the story from the Saiyan Saga through the Cell Saga, then yeah, you've got a good game in Budokai. However, the gameplay isn't exactly fun, or at least it's not compared to the Budokai 3 games or the Tenkaichi games forward. So, that's the first flaw. It doesn't involve 2, which doesn't really bother me too much because I have that one on the PS2. Well, technically I have them all on the PS2, I just can't find my Budokai 1 or 3 on the PS2. But now I've got them for the PS3. And I just want to say, if you're one of those guys that likes to get all the achievements for a game, this is a good game for you. Because so far, every single time I've completed the Dragon Universe as any of the characters, even the ones like Yamcha, who's just got 3 fights and that's it, you get 15G. And there's like 11, I think, in total. So that's a good chunk of achievement points if you want to get them. And I'm pretty sure you get 15 every single time you beat a chapter of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1. Which, to be fair, I probably won't even play. Because I've played the story through enough times, or watched the story on the actual Dragon Ball Z episodes, that I really don't need to bother going through Budokai 1. Especially seeing as the gameplay on that is quite repetitive, or at least... well, they're all repetitive, because it's just fight one guy, fight the next guy. But you know what I mean. It's just too simplistic compared to, say, 3, which is really good. I've been playing it for a couple of hours, to the point where my mum didn't do me tea because she thought I was asleep because I've been quiet. Because my TV speakers are broken, so you can't actually hear the game anymore, so I'm having to hear it through my headphones. And that brings me on to my next topic, the sound. So the one difference that this game has from the original 2 is a lot of the soundtracks have been replaced. And what I do find quite interesting is, as with most of these collection packages, like the Tomb Raider, the Prince of Persia, and the God of War collection, you choose which game of the collection you want to play from the same disc. For example, the Prince of Persia trilogy is all on one disc. The Devil May Cry trilogy is all on one disc. This collection of the Budokai 1 and 3 games are on one disc, and you choose at the start. Now, the music that plays when you choose which one you want to play is the opening theme to Budokai Tenkaichi 2, which in turn was one of my favourite PS2 games, full stop. And if I do want to play through the story of Dragon Ball Z, that's the game I go to play, because that game has it inside out and a couple of what if sagas, which I really enjoy playing through. But I like to create my own whenever I play them. So, if I had to say whether I like these more or less than the PS2 counterparts, well, first things first, I'm in the UK, right? Which means my Budokai for the PS2 has no English voices at all. You can have English subtitles, yes, but you can't have the English voices. Whereas the American and North American copies both had voices in English, whereas I don't. So that if I was to play through Budokai, that is a major bonus, or at least it is for me, because I haven't watched the anime in the Japanese voice cast, and I don't really think I will, because as much as I know it's the original and they had to change a few things on the dub, I'm more likely to enjoy it if I'm not staring at the lower third of a screen. Do you know what I mean? However, that is definitely something that would draw a few people to this game, especially if they're from the UK and haven't actually had the chance to play through Budokai 1. You know, hearing normal voices. And having the graphics slightly upgraded. Now, the interesting thing here is, right, they could have upgraded both the games to the same point, but they didn't. They made Budokai 1 look slightly better, and made Budokai 3 look quite better. That way you could tell there was a definite upgrade in the originals. Like, in the originals you could tell the graphics of 3 were better than 1, so they had to keep that sort of standard here by making Budokai 1 remastered to a lesser degree than 3. 3, I'd say, the graphics for 3 are now on par with, say, Burst Limit, which is basically the Budokai of the next generation consoles, whereas the Raging Blast of the Budokai Tenkaichi of the next generation consoles. And I just want to say one thing, guys, that's totally unrelated to Dragon Ball Z. Anyone who's watching this video and hasn't, like, seen, played, or heard of the Dragon Ball Z games is probably very confused with, like, the words I'm using. Basically, the Budokai series was a trilogy of games on the PS2. They're basically 2D fighters, sort of like Mortal Kombat, where you play as the Dragon Ball Z characters. And then there was another trilogy of games on the PS2 called Budokai Tenkaichi, which were basically, like, big 3D, like, I'd say open world, but they're not. Like, there's a big map, go fight there. That's basically the Tenkaichi games. And now on the next generation consoles, there's Burst Limit, which is basically a Budokai game, 2D fighter, but in, like, next-gen graphics and a couple of things changed that I really didn't like. And there's Raging Blast, which is pretty much the same as the Budokai Tenkaichi games, just with no story and a lot less characters, so I still advise playing the original Tenkaichis. And then there's Ultimate Tenkaichi, which will never be spoken about by anyone who likes Dragon Ball Z, ever. Capiche? So guys, if I was to review this game, and by that I mean the HD collection, I'd say it's well worth the price, because a lot of the problems with me when I want to play my PS2 is the controllers just aren't as responsive, or at least the sticks aren't as, like, mobile as they are on, say, the Xbox or the PS3. It's like, it's harder for me to move the sticks, or harder for me to make precise movements that I want to make, and that really puts me off playing a lot of games. But that doesn't affect me so much with Dragon Ball Z. However, it is nice to be able to just play these games without having to worry about swapping all the wires around to get my Xbox up and working again, especially in a small room like mine, which gets hot. So guys, if you watched this far, thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.